Praise God.
Okay. How do you like our alternate room? We welcome you and the children. Hi, kids. Are you ready for this, kids? Maybe.
Yes, I am.
So just as a little reminder, or a short review, the last couple of weeks we've been working with the parallels that we find in the Bhagavad Gita and our own Bible, our textbook. And I'm working with a book called The Great Work of Your Life by Stephen Cope. Stephen Cope was raised as a Presbyterian, I believe, and then moved into studying other faiths and found himself as the Director of Communications and presenter at the Kupala Institute on the East Coast in Massachusetts. Anyway, the story is the story of Krishna, parallel the Christ in us, Krishna and Arjuna. Arjuna is Krishna's student, just like you and I, hopefully, consider ourselves students of the Christ presence, the God of our understanding that lives in us. And we left last week, we left Arjuna on the floor of his chariot, stuck, not wanting to move forward in his life because he didn't like what he saw. He didn't like the circumstance in which he found himself. He was filled with fear, and so he just sat down in the chariot of his life. Anyone done that? I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. Krishna looks at him and says, "Son, look to your Dharma. Look to the truth that you know as guidance." And Arjuna didn't like that one either, so he jumped out of the chariot and walked away from the call of his life and Krishna. And he stands surveying the possibilities before him. That's what I invite you to do today. Stand and survey the possibilities for your life. So Arjuna stood looking at all the possibilities, and they are infinite, aren't they? We could do anything. We could all head to Florida if we wanted. We could all go set up a hot dog stand on the beach if we wanted. We could do anything. So he's surveying the great possibilities for his life, and he walks back to the chariot and takes a seat and invites Krishna to come sit next to him. And they sit together quietly for a while. And then Krishna says, "The true way to find fulfillment in life is to follow your Dharma." And Arjuna isn't getting it. And he said, "Son, I'm going to give you the first step in following your Dharma." And that's what we're talking about today. Let me hear you say, "I'm ready."
I'm ready.
So, the theme for this morning is trust in the gift. First step. It's kind of like that sometimes too, isn't it? Trust in the gift. Oh yeah, easy for you to say trust in the gift. As a first step in following our Dharma, we've got to trust in the gifts we've been given. But prior to that, we have to get some sense of the gifts we've been given. So if I asked you to list 10 gifts that you've been given, that you're aware of, that you have through the experiences of your life, through your own explorations, that you have discovered. Could you do it?
Yes.
10 gifts. That's your assignment. 10 gifts. And we are called to keep exploring those gifts. You know why? Because they're infinite. infinite and indestructible. Whatever gift you've been given, it has no limits. Why?
They're infinite.
Because they're from God, exactly. Because it's the presence of God in each of us seeking fuller and fuller and fuller expressions all the time. Next week, we'll get a next step, a second step, in how to keep it simple regarding expressing them. But for this morning, I just invite you to focus on the gifts you've been given. And what is trying to emerge now through those gifts? Because that's the Dharma. I follow my Dharma and I trust my gifts by expressing them. Together? I follow my Dharma and I trust my gifts by expressing them. Now think of someone on your prayer list and let's say it for them. You follow your Dharma. Together? You follow your Dharma as you trust your gifts by expressing them. And now for all of us, and let's say it for the whole world too, because there are plenty of people who need to get what their real gifts are. Okay, we follow our Dharma and we trust our gifts by expressing them. Yes. So we've got to trust in the gifts, and this is the way to fulfillment as we follow them. The book, The Great Work of Your Life, I highly recommend it. We have a study group after service. Everyone's invited. We have a little study guide, and we go deeper into this week, Trust Your Gift. So what conversations do you find yourself having with yourself that get in the way, perhaps, of seeing what your gifts are and what's trying to emerge right now? What conversations do you need to stop having? Brian, what?
I shouldn't have said that.
Thank you. How many times? I shouldn't have said, geez, I wouldn't. Or how about this one? I should have said. I should have said. So up here in the front row, it's all of the conversations I have with myself. I've got to stop. I shouldn't say a negative word.
And I shouldn't take Joni's money.
I shouldn't take Joni's money. That's because she keeps her purse open. So Carrie is at a crossroads in her life. And she's being called to express her gifts in a much larger way in her workplace. The CEO has just left. She was like the COO, but now they've put her in the CEO position, and she's, imagine it, in kind of a dither. And as we talked, she was saying, I find myself procrastinating, I feel overwhelmed, I've got too much on my list. Anyone there? I'm tired out. They want more of me than I have. Sometimes our family's like that. I can only do so much. What conversations does she need to stop having? All of those, right? All of those.
She needs a vacation.
So there are conversations when you and I pay attention that we have with ourselves that keep us on the floor of the chariot of our life. And the Christ in us, or as Krishna said to Arjuna, look to your Dharma. Come on. Look to your core values. look to the truth that you know. Carrie knows a greater truth than what this conversation she's having with herself says. She knows a greater truth than that. I have a daughter-in-law who, we were talking this weekend, and she was saying, as she said to me many times before, I am overworked, overwhelmed, tired, and as her mother-in-law, you can imagine what I did. But I got home, and I thought, this woman, this daughter-in-law of mine, is so gifted. Why does she let herself listen to that stuff? Because she's so much more than that. So I texted her and recommended this book. But you know, we're here to build each other up, right? Not collude. We're not here to collude. You know what collusion means, don't you? Oh yeah, I don't blame you for feeling that. Well, you sure are overwhelmed, and man, I'd quit that job if I were you. That's collusion. Collusion's a no-no. We're not here to collude with the conversation in us that tells us we're not up to it either. By creating more of the conversation, by encouraging it. I told that beautiful daughter of mine, daughter-in-law of mine, how gifted she is. And she deserves more. In our book, Stephen talks about how when he was a youngster, he and his brother had very, very differing talents and gifts. He could sit down at 6 years old at a piano and plunk out tunes. His brother Randy, at about the same age, could figure everything out about a race car and start it. He said, but, I didn't follow my music into a music career. It was never nurtured or recognized. Maybe some of us experienced that, where we were all gung-ho as kids expressing a gift and there was no recognition or nurturing of it. So we went a different path. The road not taken. But he said, you know, I still play the piano. He hasn't forgotten any of it. And Randy, his brother, who could figure out an engine and make it sing. He's not a race car driver like he might have wanted to be, but he's working as a manager in a trucking business. So he's not far from his engines. Together, living from my Dharma creates good karma. Expressing my gifts unfolds my Dharma, and my Dharma unfolds my gifts. They all work together. The gifts and the truth we know. At the heart of you, at the heart of each of us, are values that are who we really are. Part of our Dharma, the truth that we know. They could be, those values are always going to be courage, not fear. Always going to be faith, not fear. Always going to be kindness, not meanness. Follow what I'm saying? All of who we are in our hearts. Our Dharma requires all those to come to their fullest kind of expression. How many of you have had challenges in your life, in your careers? Or in raising kids, or in school, or at home? And our Dharma in those challenges requires us to dig deeper into our core values, who we are in our heart, and bring that to the fore. Rather than, oh, I'm so tired, I'm overwhelmed, too much, I don't know what to do. That's a conversation not to have. David White, you know him, my favorite author. I love this because it's the truth. And Charles Fillmore said the same thing in his book, Prosperity. If you haven't read Fillmore's book, Prosperity, it's a great one. David White said, come on with me, life is bountiful, especially when you are attuned to your essential self. Pause. Your essential self is your Christ, the divine spark in each of us. That's your essential self. And it's the unique thumbprint of God as you. It's what in unity we call our individuality, our uniqueness. No one in the world is anything like us. They may have the same values, but they're expressed in different ways. Our essential self. Let's go on. In that place, the waters part, miracles occur, and synchronous events can prompt breathtaking advances, and you are the recipient of an unparalleled harvest. Are you inspired to dare something this week? It is a promise. You've probably noticed that in your life. If you have dared something, if circumstances has called you to be courageous, to speak your truth, to do something that's scary, you will have noticed that the waters seem to part. That it's as if your gift has a power all on its own and it is moving you forward. And synchronous events happen. You are in the right place at the right time. You get the right phone call. And suddenly a door opens to something greater. Here's Charles Fillmore, our co-founder. Together, the ultimate aim of each individual is to gain a consciousness of the truth. In unity, we say the truth is, there is only one presence and one power active in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent, all-powerful, omnipotent, all-powerful, omniscient, all-knowing. You and I could not have a question that we could not find an answer to inside. Or by listening very carefully, because God speaks through other people too. And in fact, St. Augustine said, and Meister Eckhart said, God speaks to us through all that happens in our life. We just have to take the glasses off and see it rightly. Okay, let's go on. In this knowledge, one finds himself and the particular work he is intended to do. Each person brings a gift into the world, a donation to its progress. Each is restless and unsatisfied until he or she has delivered that contribution. Anyone feeling restless or unsatisfied right now? Time for a move forward. Yeah. It's a great promise, though, isn't it? It's a challenge and a promise. It challenges us. Okay, God, what's next? To look and see what's trying to emerge in simple things. Simple, small things. Like a conversation you might have later today. Like somewhere where you're shopping and you have a chance to make someone's day. Little things. Little things. Great work work of your life is to let go of strife and all the thoughts that are ripe with I can'ts. They'll always show up to fill your cup with I can'ts. Don't do that dance, it'll keep you in a trance, and that goes nowhere. You've got gifts and talents galore, and you have to explore to discover them. And even more, they open the door to your dharma. Don't hesitate at the gate to your good. Walk right on through and follow your gifts, because they'll bring you fulfillment. And so it is. And we all say,
Amen.
that's true. Take a deep breath. Remembering that words have life, substance, and intelligence, and they do what they are. So those affirmations that we said together and the quotes that we read together are energy now in our heart. Hold the fact that they live for each of us, not only today, but throughout this week and going forward. Take another deep breath. It is the offertory.